I felt invisible sliding into the swanky Dorman building on East 80th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. The elevators were mirrored and worked on pristine precision, swiftly arriving to the 16th floor without a hitch. I could tell on the phone that Betsy was white. I wondered if it would bother her that I was black. If it did, I couldn't tell by the way she greeted me at the door. Betsy had long, frosted blonde hair, green eyes, and a slight bump on her nose. She was also just as short as my foster mother, Mrs. Parquet, about 4'11", I'd say, in her bare feet probably. It was hard to tell exactly because her powder blue bell-bottoms were so long they covered most of her sandals. But I guess she was standing on about 7 inches of silver chrome heels. But that's not what threatened to topple Betsy over. She had the biggest tits I'd ever seen on any woman besides Mrs. Parquet. Probably a twin set of 42 triple Ds were snug inside her tight pink mohair sweater. Betsy was from Roslyn, Long Island, she told me as she motioned me into the foyer. One of the 5 towns, she said with a giggle, about what I wasn't sure, so I returned the giggle. It's living in a higher octave. Betsy went on to tell me that her mother was a school teacher and her father owned a dress manufacturing company on 7th Avenue. They really want me to go to college. She giggled again, sipping on a tab soda, so they're paying for it. As she turned, I could see Betsy also had a flat ass. I neatly tagged behind her and the real estate agent as they moved from room to room. For her size, Betsy had a heavy walk, and her platform sandals click-clacked on the hardwood floor. "Let's take it," she whispered to me without waiting for me to reply. "I know someone who could put down wall-to-wall carpeting, put up mirrors and paint," she added, taking in the nooks and crannies with the assured eye of someone used to getting her way. Betsy whipped out a check to give to the real estate agent, then whisked me downstairs to drive me home in her red convertible Mustang. "Don't worry about anything. When you get the money, you can pay me back. So what are you doing Saturday?" she asked, whisking the same few frosted strands out of her hair for the 50th time in 10 seconds. Nothing really. I work Friday and Saturday night this week. I was so uncomfortable inside my skin, I wished I could disappear into the dashboard like Topo Grigio, the little gray mouse on the Ed Sullivan show who used to whine, "Tuck me into bed, Eddie." "Where do you work?" Betsy asked, seemingly oblivious to my uncomfortable state. "This bar over by school called the Botany Talk House," I replied, and I refrained from asking Betsy the same question. "I'm saving money to open up my own boutique after I graduate," Betsy explained. "I'll probably need about another 20,000, I want something nice. I have a lot of uncles who help me out. One of them has a place at Grossinger's in the Catskills. You ever been there?" "No," I replied, scared to ask, "Where the fuck is the Catskills?" "I want you to meet him. My Uncle Al. We can go up there together. I'll pick you up around 11 on Saturday, okay?" Betsy says, this time waiting for my reply. "Okay," I squeak. "Just bring stuff for the weekend." "Like what?" "Like a nice dress, okay? And a bathing suit. You have one, right?" "Mm-hmm." I giggled, getting out of the car and saying goodbye. I had a feeling I was in for a really big adventure. Luckily, I had the black gown I designed to participate in the Ophelia DeVore modeling class when I was at school. I lied about the bathing suit part, but I wouldn't say anything to Betsy until we got there, which would be very soon, judging from the way she careened along Route 95 North on the Interstate Highway. I also didn't dare tell her I don't know how to swim. H2O was the enemy of all black girls, and there weren't enough curling irons in the world to cure the kinky aftermath of skinny dipping. "Oy vey," Betsy said, "these fucking New Jersey drivers." Betsy snaps with her left hand out of the window, puffing on cigarettes and abruptly changing lanes. I was in awe of any driver, since I had never even navigated a tricycle, and the Betsy I could tell was hell on wheels. Her parents had bought her the Mustang for her high school graduation. I was too ashamed to tell I'd never been to high school graduation. 2 hours later, we passed a sign for Sullivan County, and Betsy informed me, "This place is really kind of corny, but you're really going to like Uncle Al." "Do you come here a lot?" I asked. "Yeah, Uncle Al's been coming here for years. God, I can't wait to get in the freaking steam room." The Grossenger resort was unbelievably huge. It had its own airport, an 800-seat theater, and more tennis courts than Wimbledon. I hadn't seen this much land since I watched Green Acres on television. Smoking is not permitted in the dining room and main lobbies until the end of the Sabbath at sunset. The desk clerk informs Betsy, never looking in my direction. Passing a poster for tonight's headliner, comedian Jackie Mason, in the lobby. The thought of the Manischewitz wine there was very appealing. I was sweating from fear. A young white guy wearing a blue windbreaker and a crocheted yarmulke held down with a bobby pin stood in front of us in the elevator. Let me go in and see Al first. I'll let you know when to come in. Okay, I said, dropping my bags in our adjacent room. Betsy disappears behind the adjacent door, then yells for me to come in. She was lying on the bed naked with her Uncle Al. He had a towel draped over his private parts, and I noticed the crutch resting against the wall because he only had one leg. Betsy's coochie was dark blonde and bushy. Her breasts were really, really big. Al, this is Desde. We just got an apartment together today. Motioning me with her chubby fingers and chewed down nails, Betsy was sit on the bed, then loud enough for Al to hear. Don't be afraid, I won't bite. I move like I'm in a fantasy. All this seems very natural to me. I noticed Al's right leg is shriveled up. Later, Betsy tells me he was in the war. Betsy rubs Al's hairy chest, giggling. She coos, give her some money. Al reaches over to his wallet on the nightstand and pulls out a $50 bill, which Betsy gives to me. It just all was a dream. I go to take a shower, then come back and sit on the bed in my underwear and bra, ugly pink jockey cotton panties and a beige bra. I wish I had worn something else and had some cologne. Betsy seemed disgusted by Al. I could tell by the way she rubbed the folds of his cumbersome belly. Betsy gave Al a hand job, then spent a long time in the bathroom. I remained seated by the foot of the bed, like an immovable mermaid, smiling at Al, who quickly covered his shriveled Vienna sausage with the towel Betsy had left on the bed. If I had had an oriental fan, I would have probably sat there fanning myself while fluttering my eyelashes and tail. I guess I instinctively had understood all along what Betsy meant about having a lot of uncles, but now I fucking definitely knew for sure.